like the whole country situation, but what I know, yeah.
Perfect, perfect. So you just speak your influence and your experience altogether, how you are going to do. So just a moment. Hello, everybody. Good morning. And I'm Dr. Swati, platform moderator for Web Platform for Dialogue. It's our greatest opportunity to introduce our today's speaker of storytelling session. She is none other than a famous TEDx talk speaker, mom. She's the entrepreneur. She is Ei Ei Mon from Myanmar. Nang is an entrepreneur and a certified transformative life coach. Her coaching focuses on grief and life phases in transition. Nan is passionate about women's economic empowerment. So she built a platform called How She Did It that is upskills and reskills women, especially mothers, and connects them to flexible, meaningful work in digital economy. Her TEDx talk, In the Name of the Motherhood, was about the importance of empowering mothers to build a progressive society. It is very important to know how we could actually motivate ourselves. Being a mother, being a woman, we sometimes forget to take care of ourselves. So that is the point where I believed that Nan would definitely share us some interesting and some exciting stories from her journey, how to become an entrepreneur and a wonderful mom. So I welcome Nan in the storytelling sessions with e-dialogue and how to empower women in this pandemic particularly. So I open the forum
Thank
to
you.
Nan and she will hand over the session right now.
Thank you so much, Swati, for a very good introduction. I'm very honored and also humbled to be here to have this conversation with you and everyone who's watching. So my name is Nang. I was born and raised in Myanmar, but I grew up in the U.S. Like I stayed there for about 12 years. After that, I came back to Myanmar to find opportunities actually to do something for the next phase of my life, which is after 30s. So I was actually very inspired by mothers in Myanmar, especially those who decided to leave workforce to raise their children. So that was the starting point of this journey with how she did it. Back then, I was having my daughter, and I left our workforce too. I was living in U.S. and I didn't have anyone to care to have a support system. So I left workforce and I just take a career break to raise my daughter. So it was a 2 years career break, but I had a lot of learning, self-discovery phase. And also I faced depressions because as someone who was very engaged in a lot of things, having to leave workforce or not having to do anything else except caring for a child alone was draining for me. And but that 2 years journey teach a lot about myself and also the importance of the health of a mother in order to raise a thriving, a healthy children child. So that's what I came across, and then I decided to pursue what I'm passionate about, so that I can become a healthy mother in order to take care of or to raise a healthy children, a healthy child, healthy not just in a physical, but also a mind, a mental health also. So that's a important connection I found, and then I came back to Myanmar to actually start a business. Back then, I wasn't really thinking about what kind of business or anything. I'm always very entrepreneurial, so I was looking And I'm always interested to the social problem as well. Like I wanted to do social enterprise, but it's a purpose driven, kind of sustainable business. That was what drive me into looking into this women issues. Like, right, we all are facing a lot of different types of issues, and we all need help with sustainable solutions for to help us get better, to help us solve this problem that we're facing. And but turns out that in Myanmar, what happened is that when it comes to women's issue, women's problem, it's hardly turned into a business model. It's more like okay, then that doesn't mean you want to be an NGO organizations, or it's more like a grant funded kind of organizations type, that a lot of people think that way. Or if you want to do with the women demographics, or you could just start a clothing, fashions, or cosmetics. So that's two different way of thinking when it comes to approaching this problem. So but my way is more about the pain point we all are facing right now. We all mothers in Myanmar, women's, a lot of us are facing right now, is taking care of ourselves and becoming reaching our full potential. That's something that we really want to do, because it's also for us and also for our children or our family. And so this is something, a unique approach that I found, and that's how I started How She Did It, which is actually to empower mothers with economic opportunities. So like Swati, like you said, we have to take care of a lot, we have to give a lot of time for our children, right? For their well-being, even now with COVID, right? It's like a lot of things. We're not just the mother right now, we are also the teachers. So it's like a lot of burdens on the women, and we never have time for ourselves. The self-care is very important. So that's how I actually start to think about, okay, what are the key things in healthcare that we need right now? Is it just to pamper ourselves, or is it just to really have a peace of mind sometime? Or is it something to do with reaching our potential, right? If you get to do something meaningful, something you're good at, if you get to be part of something bigger than yourself, then that really makes you feel alive again and really happy again. So that's something that clicked me too, and that's how we actually started How She Did It. And we are upscaling and rescaling women's mothers to actually reach out for better and more work opportunities. So yeah, I've been talking a lot about like myself and how it is started. Is there anything do you want to guide me with this? Yes.
No, actually, I just want to know that when you actually started,
Mm,
it was not a very smooth journey for you.
mm,
Because funding and other financial things would be surely a dilemma for you. So, how would you approach when you first started with this entrepreneurship?
that's a really good question. So when I started, I actually up to now actually don't have funding, like grants or anything. It's all self-funded. Self-funded in terms of like I'm a certified trainer and also a life coach. So I started by creating training programs, coaching program. So that way it's become a sustainable model. Like, we deliver the service and then we get the training fees back. And that's how I run this business up to this point. I try to approach other investor grants providers and, a lot of different options to get funded. But I haven't been able to focus on that a lot, because there are some missing links for me. A few of them are like, either we become, completely NGO or nonprofit, then we will get funding. But then my concern is that we want to be self-funded. We want to sustain, what if this grant ended, and then, how are we going to continue to do this? So I want to think about the business model for the long term. So that's why I did not turn this business into a nonprofit. So that's make us a bit harder to get funded. And also another reason is there are a lot of great organization, grassroots organization that handle that can work on the social issues in Myanmar, and I prefer them getting the funding because they are actually helping those who cannot pay, who cannot like a much lower socioeconomic level, and they actually need the funding. So that's why I decided that I'm not going that way so that they're more fun for them. And in other side, it's more about looking for investors. And when we actually look for investor, a few things I have a few experiences that when it comes to women, we say, oh, women platform teaching women, doing this women, and they automatically think, oh, you're NGOs, and then we don't fund NGOs. However much we try to convince them and talk about this, this is actually a business model, but I cannot convince a lot of investors here, and a lot of, I don't want to be sexist here, but a few of them are men, and they are like, give me the numbers, show me the numbers. I don't care about impact. It's more like, what are the numbers? We actually changed life, but it's 50 women in 4 months, and they're like, oh, 50 is really very small number. We're not interested in things, this kind of things. So yeah. So it's like, okay, now we have to start looking for impact investor or angel investor or women investor to actually see this is a unique opportunity. So that's a new approach I'm trying to look into. And also, of course, I need to improve this, how we present this and how we make this, turn this, social impact into a numbers. So that's something I'm trying to improve myself. Yeah.
That's wonderful, actually. Whenever we are doing something together collaboratively as a women team, that's very hard to convince. That is very challenging task indeed. But at the
Right.
same time, in this way, we have lots of opportunities. And even in life, when you have ups and downs, you are
Mm,
actually creating impact on your own self. So
true.
I think that's a self motivation that whenever in life we have some kind of dilemmas, ups and downs, and not in a good mood, I think
Right.
from that, some new ideas, some new thought have been emerged. At least,
Right.
for my case, it happened. You know the reason. So anyway,
Mm,
it's a kind of a similar story, and I think it's kind of a oneness that actually motivated me to create this kind of web platform for every individual and especially for the women, because I think most of the women wouldn't have much time for herself. So rightly
right.
pointed out, as you said, that after being mom, even we forget to put a makeup and put a minimum lipstick or eyeliners or minimum
Right.
makeup for ourselves. And
True.
when we actually going out with our partners or our husband, when he is stoned, oh, you are looking like that, oh shit. I said, what? I'm bearing your children, I'm bearing your baby, and you are saying me this like that I'm
Yeah.
looking shit. So
Mm,
that kind of a comments or kind of a objectivity as a mom is a
right.
very suffering, and so this postpartum impact is very very
Mm,
strong in the momhood. So
exactly.
how would you feel that after being an entrepreneur, after being a mom, how would you what would be your objective towards life? That is, I really want to know.
Okay. The experience you share, I actually went through a lot of this like postpartum kind of depressions. The thing is that, like you said, it's a big thing, for a woman to actually grow a baby, right? Carry a baby in her tummy, grow a human, and then push the baby out or give birth to a baby, a human, and then it's not the end yet. It's just the beginning because you start to raise that baby. And for first time mothers, I was freaking out a lot too, and I didn't actually have enough, emotional, mental, and a lot of different support that I actually needed. And it actually burned me out a lot. Like you said, for a few months, I didn't want to look in the mirror because I didn't like who I became. It was shocking to me. I was different, but then once I become a mother, I changed a lot. It's like, because that's what we center ourselves before was just ourselves, but now it's not us anymore. You are just gone. I don't know. I couldn't even find a trace of myself, and it was all for the baby, baby, baby. Like day in, day out, and then every time you're thinking about, I'm still thinking about baby, but I did not have a space. I'm at like 1% of space in my mental space anymore for myself. So that's when I noticed that, realized that it's really time for maternal, mental and emotional and, spiritual health to start to grow. If not, I won't be able to raise a good, a good humans, someone who is emotionally healthy or physically healthy. So that's when I start to realize that it's really time to take a break and do what I need and do what matter to me, because nobody understand me and nobody is actually being able to support what I need unless I communicate it to them, saying this is what I need, this is how much space I need, and I cannot do this anymore, or like setting a boundary. And that was the first step I did. And only when I set the boundary, I have enough space to explore what my purpose is or what my objective is, what I want to continue to live on with my life. Now I have a baby. Now I have this rich experience of this, pregnancy, motherhood, and continuously rich life experience. What do I want to do with that? And also I went through depressions, I went through this career gap, career frustration, feeling lost, and all of these are, if you see it as like very negative experience, but then how do you use that as a resource to turn it into a purpose or turn it into something you can make out of this? It's a raw material. So that's how I start to see that, okay, now I have these experience, and I'm pretty sure I was not alone. So that's how I started to write about this motherhood experience, being a mother entrepreneur experience and all of these. And that's how we have this community of how she did it. And it has become a new purpose for me because through the platform, I see a lot of women who are going through a situation much worse than me. When you see that, it's just, you just can't turn your back against them anymore. You just like, ignore that anymore, because it's already in your head and it's already in your heart, because you yourself went through a friction of it. And then imagine how they're facing it much worse than you. And there's something you can do, or you can push yourself to do, then it's just automatically become a purpose to me that what am I going to do? What else can I do? And I don't really care about anything else. That's what happened. It's like other thing else. I thought about this. It's like, is it all about women empowerment? Is there anything else I care about? Well, I actually care about humans. When it comes to women's mothers are facing a lot of different barriers because of their gender. And when you talk about gender, it's just like gender lens. When you see it, there are like a lot of intersectionality, right? It's like being women and being being a minority, then that's another set of barriers on her. And so when you see these layer of barriers, you really can't ignore that anymore. And a lot of people say, oh, you care only about women, how about you? Yeah, and among the youth there are women too. It's like, you care about women, how about this minority? Yes, in minority group there are women too. That's what I always have to explain. But if you think about it, this has become something I just see. I have this gender lens on my head, in my eyes already, and I can't take it off anymore. And I just have to do it. And it makes me really, it makes me feel like it's a meaningful journey. And I'm actually very, very honored to be able to work with these women that currently I'm working with. All of them are super strong, and they are very resilient people, and I'm feeling very humble to be able to support them. So it's like I cannot ignore this, and it has become a life purpose that way. Yeah.
That's wonderful, and you rightly pointed out, Nang, in this way that
Mm,
irrespective of any caste, irrespective of any religion, irrespective of any racism, so women are being targeted, then they are the most vulnerable in any society. Uh,
true.
e- Even in India, Myanmar, and all Southeast Asia altogether, I think we are sharing equal kinds of social status for women.
Mm,
We are enjoying it.
right.
Sometimes it differs due to the economical thing.
Right.
If you are seeing a higher income group, the
Mm,
status of women it's sometimes it's much higher.
mm,
uh, Lower in the lower income group. But at the same time, you can see the contradictions also. In the higher
true.
income zone, they considered the women the most vulnerable and they tortured their women in their family. But in the
Mm-hmm.
lower income zone, when actually you and your husband all together doing some same work at your field, agricultural laborers or daily earners, and you are doing putting your hand together, that is
Mm,
giving you the more prejudice, more preference in the society as a woman. So it's I
right.
think it's not about the income group. It's all about the mindset that how you are looking
Mm,
women, how
right.
you are willing to look, and
Right.
how
True.
you are accept women as a holistically, as a
Mm,
part of the society, not the
true.
excluded or extended part. That when
Yes.
a woman is actually coming to the after marriage, when we are going to our husband's house, and how they are accepting us, I think that's the main thing. If they are not
Mm,
accepting you and feeling always that you are excluded, automatically, even after being with them for suppose for 10, 12 years, you will not
mm,
be the part of that particular family. Rather, you will
mm,
always feel excluded. So I think
right.
that's from my
Mm,
perspective and from my personal opinion.
yes.
Here,
Yes.
I would like to know from you that
Okay.
you're talking about the spirituality and how spirituality is actually helped you in your journey of this.
Right. That's a very good questions too. I Since I was young, I mean, our parents are very spiritual people. They do mental practice, so meditation mainly things. My dad and also my mom were very religious, and they practice that a lot, and it's passed down to us. And all four of us, our siblings, are familiar with this practice. So throughout my life, there are down times that I have faced. Like at age 19, our dad passed away with cancer, and it was just sudden death, and the grieving process was difficult for me. I was 19, and I was like, I was very close to him, and that was the time I started to get in touch with my emotion. It was like I couldn't handle it, of course, but then it was a starting point that pushed me to look into my mental health. And from the mental health, I always look for this having a peaceful set of mind, and that was like something I really always reach for. So whenever I have downtime, whenever I face depressions, or a lot of setback in throughout the lives, and also when I became a mother and then I faced depressions, that was a time when I get to practice this being a spiritual, not in terms of a religion side of it, but then it's more like, having a peace of mind. It's something that I really need. And that's something I get to practice on myself. So recently I went through this, like, the, uh, uh, how to say, a rough patch in a marriage, and also in resettling back in a country, and actually pushing toward this, goals for our platform we want to do, and a lot of different things going on. And I actually did not have this mental peace at all. And when I noticed that, it was it was like how I noticed that was like it started to affect on how I practice, do deliver this coaching session with clients, and that's how I noticed that okay, now it's starting to affect my professionalisms and how I work and everything. That's how much important this spirituality is to me. And that's a breeding ground of, are you becoming a good mother, are you becoming a good coach, a good trainer, or a good entrepreneur, or not? Because like it's where your mind is. If you don't have a space for yourself, if you don't have a peaceful mind, it really affect everything, the way I think, the way I say. And it's just like scary. So yeah, that's why I always keep myself to have a frequent break, or even at nighttime, if I feel really burned out, I would just like really stop and setting a boundary and say, I need a mental practice now, I really need to have a space, and create the space I need. And one point you mentioned that's very interesting, and I feel it's very important, is home. Home is very important for a mother or a woman, because a lot of us think that, oh, home is, it's a physical space, or some people think home is a family. Home is where your family. It's actually different, because if you think about it, uh, when I was in US, I worked as a domestic violence counselor. So domestic violence actually helped me change how I see home is. For some people, family is family, but when family is the one, like, the one that that's affecting you, your safety, your emotional, your mental health, that's not a home for you. And as a woman, as a mother, you need a home where you feel safe mentally and physically. And if not, it's not where you should be. I'm sorry to break families, but it really is not going to do anything good to you, to how much you can impact other people, and also to your children. And so it's like creating this home is very important. And how you work with your family, how you help your family understand how they can support you to create this home that you need. It's very important. So that's how I see it, and that's how I create a home for myself, so that I can actually grow, so that I can actually give more to family or children's, or community. It's all start from me. It's all start from this mental space. Yeah.
Absolutely, as you rightly pointed out, that family sometimes it's not home, and home is sometimes not family. So I think it's very important for us to choose the right way. That what
Mhm.
would be the right thing for us? It's the
Right.
family. It really matters, or it's the home of your
Mm.
mental stability. So I
Yes.
think as an entrepreneur, what would be your suggestions? Who would like to choose the entrepreneurships or something, would willing to start a new phase of life? What would be your suggestions in some point?
That's very interesting. The words you say, the new phase of life. I feel like I'm very. It's a keyword for me. I love people who want to transition into a new career, or I love people who want to open a new chapter to their life and things like that. It's some kind of excitement in there, when you think about it, right? It's a new beginning. I think it will actually have to start with you yourself, right? Like. Why do you want to start this? Why do you think it has to be a new phase or a new chapter or a new career? Because like sometimes we just want to leave the old one. We just don't want to do anything with it. That's why we want to start it. We want to get out of here. But that's actually not a strong reason to start something new, because that old chapter, that old part of you will continue to be with you, and you have to take what's good for you with you throughout this new journey ahead as well. So it's like wanting to leave something old is not just the first warning that you shouldn't start a new career just because of that. But you can actually start something new, a new career, because there is something in there that can help you feeling like more meaningful to live, right? Sometime, for example, if you talk about career, right, you have been in one career for over 10 years and you start to feel like you know about this already and you really don't want to even learn new things or how to say, move up to a career ladder in that field anymore. You just want something really new to challenge you. Imagine how you feel at the beginning of a career, right? As an intern, and you have a lot of things you want to learn, and every day is learning, every day is exciting for you. If that's something you're looking for, then it's something that that will actually push you every day to start this new chapter in a career. So something like that, look for things that can actually help you grow personally and also professionally. And so that's how you have to look into yourself in order to start something new. And if you think about a new phase of life, it can be a lot of things, even like having a starting a journey of motherhood, for example. If you're trying to conceive and if you're trying to have a baby, and that's something you have to mentally prepare yourself. It's a new phase of life. It's not going to be the same ever. And for that, I know. Yeah, we know. So it's like, so that's mentally preparing you for this new chapter is very important. And what you look into that is it's important. Not just that, oh, I don't want to be single anymore, or I just want to have baby because my friends are having baby. That's not going to be helping you for the long run. So it's something about starting new. And one part of your question is about entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is it's very close to my heart. Like since I was young, I always like to do anything creative, anything innovative, and I like to, start a business. But I never get to actually start a business until I was 30. Um, Prior to 30, it was more about fear. It's like, oh, do I have enough experience, or what if I fail, or is it like is it a good idea, or a lot of things. I need to have experience. That's why I didn't start any business, but I was just doing some random projects, and all of these, those were all exciting. But when I actually started this business, started into this entrepreneur journey, it's a combination of everything I have done in the first 30 years of my life. I mean, starting from, like, age 12 or 13 until I'm 30. So all the experience actually count, because a lot of entrepreneurs are thinking like, okay, I want to start a business. Do I have a good business model, or do I have a good products or things like that? But I think it's also important to look into, like, do you have an entrepreneur mindset, which is one thing, is not afraid to fail, because you will fail and you will look like a fool to some people. I look like a fool to some people, and you will face people who think that it's not a good idea. You will face rejection, and all of these you have to be really strong. I faced a lot of rejection from a lot of different people, investor, funding provider, and even mentors, right? Oh, I don't want to coach your business because I don't think it's a good business. And you just have to be able to handle those rejection and just take what works for you. So those are more important in terms of starting an entrepreneur journey, I think, because when you talk about business model or business solution or product, things like that, a lot of things change, right? Even now, COVID suddenly happened, and then the business model you thought before might not work right now, and you have to keep thinking new things, innovate, and so that will have to be ongoing process, instead of just like having a perfect product and then start a business, because that perfect product might not work in the next year. So yeah.
Absolutely, because I think COVID has changed entire things.
Right.
Education sector, the
True.
the main affected, I think, in the COVID journey. So
Right.
education has been entirely changed. So whoever is thinking entrepreneurship in the field of education, I think they have the best opportunity to utilize this pandemic. So I think we are
Exactly.
almost at the last of our discussions. So I really would thank you that with my one call, you are here and presented wonderful presentation that how the dilemma, the transition is actually wonderful thing. The crisis actually brilliant because the crisis is the one of the finest teacher for ourselves. It
True, true.
it's giving us the opportunity to explore our own thinking process. What
Mm,
would we like to do in our life?
right, right.
Sometimes in personal life also we have to think professionally, and
Mm,
that helps us a lot. So I think I really extend my thanks to you that you came over here and shared your experience, your personal experience, your professional experience for our friends, our fellows who will definitely watch this video. And I think it would be a wonderful e-dialogue that we have started. So I would
yeah,
end up the sessions right now, but we will definitely continue our work in some parts of the writing and some part of research work, maybe together.